Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I have been so busy with work, I have not gone live. So what I'm going to do this morning is while I put on my makeup, I'm going to go live with you. And I'm going to give you my take on conjugal visits, okay? Because I've experienced it. This doesn't mean what I'm about to say is correct or right or being judgmental whatsoever. I'm giving you my take on conjugal visits. So I hope a few of you join me this morning. Got my Texas cup, my Texas mug. I don't live in Texas anymore, but I am from Texas and that's my home. So you see, I carry it with me always. So I hope everybody's doing good today. Everybody doing good and ready for the weekend. Some of you are visiting this weekend. And yes, I'm about to put my makeup on while I talk to you guys. I'm telling you, my life is so busy. I am taking my daughter today shopping. She is the freshman representative for homecoming. So she has to have about 4 different outfits, and we've gotten most of them, but we haven't found one for next week at the pep rally. So we are headed shopping. So the only way for me to be able to go live is to get ready with you. So I figured that that's what I'd do. Okay. And then, so we're going to just wait a couple more minutes. I'm going to wait for a few of you to pop on here, and I'm going to tell you my experience and the reason why I feel so strong about what I do about the conjugal visits. But I get why you women would love to be able to have a baby by your husbands or your the love of your life, and especially those who are doing a lot of time, okay? But I'm going to tell you my experience that I had with this same exact thing. It wasn't actually a conjugal visit, though. It was a furlough, okay? It was a furlough. And I am going to share that with y'all. Yes, I am getting ready. For those of you who are popping on now, I am getting ready while I am doing this. But again, I have such a busy life right now, and I wanted to go live and I wanted to enjoy my Saturday morning with you all, but I knew I couldn't do both. I didn't have time to get ready. And so I said, well, I'll just pop on and I'll get ready with them. So I was very young, back in the day. I was very young. So watch my story and you could see how young. I was very young, and my son's dad had gotten in trouble, and he was sentenced to 2 years in, back then, though, this was 1984. They had a work release program at the prison. Okay. So he would, get to come home for maybe 30 minutes whenever he got his work, like in the evenings. He had a work release, and actually a guy that we knew signed the work release, and he was home for more than 30 minutes a day. So, of course, what are we doing? We're young, even if you're not young, but we're doing it. And I get pregnant. Okay. That threw a wrench in everything. And he only had 2 years, but I'm about to tell you, though, where it gets kind of crazy. Because he was a repeat offender. He would get out, stay out. I think the longest he was ever out after it, 1984, was maybe 6 months, okay? So he was out maybe 6 months. And so I get pregnant, I have our child, but now I have a child in the system, okay? So yes, it might not have been a conjugal visit, but to me, it kind of is the same thing. You're able to have sexual relations while they're in prison. I had my son as a single mom, a young mom. Of course, I was single because I was with him, and he was in prison, and it was rough. It was very, very rough, and I didn't do things the best. I didn't do them as I'm doing now. I'm actually writing a book on the differences because I feel like, maybe not an expert, but I feel like I know now. I know what it takes to raise a healthy child, okay? Although my other 2 children had to be my guinea pigs, I always tell them that, they love me and we're close and all that stuff, but it was still a very, very rough life for my son. He ended up years later, his dad was in and out for years, going, because you have to remember that not only are you going to, yes, anyone who's joining, I am putting my makeup on during this video. I just don't have time to do both. And I really wanted to go live with you guys. So the thing about it is, and you go, well, I'll raise him with lots of love, and that's all great. And I raised my son with lots of love. I was very involved in his life. I was very involved in his school. My mother lived right next door with 4 siblings that were around his age as he was growing up. He couldn't have really had it any better, other than we were very, very poor. But we made it. You know what I mean? There was a lot of love in the house. But I would drag him. And it was literally drag him. At first, when they're little, they love it. But as they get older, they don't want to go see their parent in a visitation room. Okay? They don't. Even though they want to see their parent, it hurts. Okay? I teach school today, and there are children who have parents that are locked up, and it hurts. It hurts them. And you might go, well, I get that. But I feel as though now that I've raised 2 children, and I raised them totally different, and I had one that was in and out of visitation in the prison system most of his life. When he got to be about 12, he really didn't want to go anymore. So I would go. I just feel like I know from experience, and a lot of you who have children know it hurts them. I don't care. You go, well, kids, have to deal with it, and kids go through different things. But if they don't have to, that's the part. If they don't have to, I feel as though, for me, okay, I am not by any means saying that anyone is selfish, because I get it. And now that my son's dad is not with us anymore, he has passed on almost 5 years ago now. I'm so thankful I have my son, because I have that, and I have that offspring, and I have something of him. I get that. Trust me, if anyone gets it, I get it. But I also know that my son went through a lot having a dad in prison. And so the comments that I've made on that post this morning, I just want you all to understand where I'm coming from on that. And then my son ended up going to prison himself, okay, at 28 years old. I'm not saying that they all go to prison, but you have a pretty good chance that if you grow up in a visitation room, and you grow up with that culture and that environment, you have a pretty good chance that you're going to do the same thing. And all I'm saying is, I'm just trying to save you all, because think about it. You've got their dad in there, and it's hurtful, and it's hard. And now you've got them in there when they get older, and you've got them fighting the system. And I believe there's moms on here that can tell you, just as I'm telling you, they've seen it happen as well, that it was a cycle that just was not broken. And it's rough, and it's hard for these kids. So that's my take on conjugal visits. I know everybody has, people go, well, the man is a lot less, but you know what, you guys, most of the men, and I'm not one to ever be judgmental and go, well, yeah, he did it to himself. But most of the men that are in there, unless it's just a wrongful conviction, they put themselves there. And the women, of course, should they have gotten 20 years for drugs? Of course not. But they're there because they're being punished for whatever crimes that they committed, or maybe people they hung out with. So it's like, why does a child have to suffer because this man wants an offspring? And again, that's my take on it. If they're getting out, they got a year, 2 years, something like that. But again, my son's dad was doing 2 years. He was doing 2 years. He got home for his furlough for the night. We got pregnant, and I know what my son's 34 now, and I know what the next 34 years were like, okay? I know he still has to struggle with that. Now his dad's passed away. He grew up in and out of the prison visitation room, and I just feel like that was selfish of me to do to him, knowing that you're going into it and they're incarcerated. And you don't even think about that. You know what I mean? You get in a room and you're with them, and you have all access you're really not thinking about what the long-term effects are, okay? And it's not just for 18 years. Having children is a lifelong thing, okay? My son's 34 years old, and I talk to him, and my daughter's 29 daily, okay? And they have to, you know what I'm saying? They still need me as a mother. So it doesn't end when they're 18. And especially if they grow up in where there's no dad or no mother and they're in a visitation room being raised, it's hard for these children. They don't even know how to process this, okay? So that's my take on the conjugal visit thing. That's just, I feel that way about it because I lived it. I lived it. And some of these men and women are repeat offenders. They go in and out. Some are doing life. If you, I don't know. I just feel like if you know they're doing life and you want to bring a child in, it's why? I mean, you've got to think about what's going to happen with this child and all the things that come along with having a child. And, that's just the way I feel. So I just wanted to go live and I wanted to say, hey to everyone. And I hope you have a wonderful Saturday. And I don't mean any disrespect when I say that about the conjugal visits, but I lived it. And I just want you to understand where I'm coming from as well. Okay. So y'all have a great day. I'm actually going to go live on some other topics today. I just want to end it here because this was for conjugal visits only. So y'all have a great day and peace out.